Thank you for tuning in to the Interracial Perspective Maturity Not Included podcast, where we discuss a wide range of topics from any and everything, but most importantly, a place for you to be yourself. If you haven't already, subscribe to both the Interracial Perspective Maturity Not Included podcast and YouTube channel. Hit that like button and notification bell so you know when a new episode becomes available. I'm Ellceey, here with my wonderful co-host, Erron.
Hey everyone, it's Erron. In the first episode, we will be discussing our top 10 TV shows in no particular order that Ellceey and myself think should never have ended or been canceled. Of course, we are not familiar with all the shows. This list is simply our perspective, but please share your comments on the top 10 TV shows you believe should have never ended or been canceled.
So what sparked this is I saw an article not too long ago, I think about 2 weeks ago, that discussed the return of Sex and the City, and it will be retitled as And Just Like That. But what kind of shocked me was the fact that Kim Cattrall's character, Samantha Jones, would not be returning. And I think that she was a big part of the original show. But it got me wondering what shows we really like that could have a chance to be revived or rebooted in some fashion that should have never ended or been canceled.
Which I think it led us to discussing one of our favorites, I feel, that was ended, a few years ago? It was called Happy Endings.
Yes.
And was on ABC. It was 3 seasons. It was just an hilarious show, right? It's aired in Chicago?
It was filmed in, I think it was filmed in LA, of course, but it was set in Chicago, and it ran on ABC for 3 seasons, and it had Damon Wayans Jr., Casey Wilson, and Adam Pally, and some other great actors a part of the show. Can't remember their names right now off the bat. But Adam Pally also was just in another show that got canceled with Fran Drescher called Indebted.
Yep,
and that was on NBC. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, that was a good show. I think that they can probably bring that back.
Well, because I think they left it off almost like it got canceled, right? Or was that one that actually... No, got canceled. It got canceled. Because they had a lot of things ahead of it, I think, for the type of show it was. It was a sitcom of friends, and I don't necessarily think there was a plot. It was more of like, this is how people live in this big city.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious. I mean, all the characters on it were funny in their own right.
Yeah, I really liked all the characters on that show. My favorite characters were definitely Brad and Penny. Like those two were so funny to me. They just were funny to me. But I would love for that show to come back, because we saw or have heard rumors or have been reading that they were in talks to bring it back, or they were looking.
But I feel like it's always those rumors like, oh, the cast is talking, or they've been thinking about it. I just think they would be able to bring it back exactly how they left off.
Yeah. Another good show that I personally liked was Half and Half, that aired on UPN for 4 seasons. It starred Rachel True, who some people may be familiar with The Craft. She played Rochelle, and it also had Essence Atkins, Valerie Pettiford. I like this show because of the banter. Big Dee and Phyllis's interactions were just so funny to me. Those two
brought the definition of adult shading.
Yeah, they're the terms shade. They were shading each other before shade became a thing. And it's funny because it's on Netflix now. And before, it used to re-air on TV1.
Which I think kind of brings up, maybe this is when Netflix could actually strike and win over a lot more fans by redoing some of these shows or bringing them back with the ability to have kind of free flow language.
Yeah, I love Netflix. There's a lot of shows that I have gotten, like Netflix original shows, and I think that's why I really like the fact that Netflix has brought on some of the shows that I like that you could not really rewatch if you don't have cable, because Half and Half if I'm not mistaken, only re-aired on TV1. It wasn't on any other network.
And
You
it wasn't the same, like a lot
TV
of
shows.
re-airings. Like I feel like a lot of re-airings will actually do like back-to-back episodes during an hour slot. Where this was like they would show one episode every other night, compared to a lot would be like, for Monday through Friday you can go to TBS and you'd watch, what was it back in the day, Full House from 7 to 8, and then they would have back-to-back episodes Monday through Friday, 7 to 8.
Right.
Full House.
Yeah, Netflix is. I like Netflix because they don't really censor things in their shows like on network television shows. That's kind of why I've really moved away from network TV shows, because it's not, to me, kind of realistic when you try to censor, and when I mean censor is more so like the language. It's fudge instead of F, or the big word, I should say, which makes me think about another good show on the list, Witches of East End. They just aired that or put it on Hulu, and we rewatched the first season and going through the second season right now. I think we're on episode 7.
Yeah, we're almost done with that.
But I was surprised that they say the SHIT were on Lifetime. And Dracula, the Untold Story was on, and they said the SHIT, and I think I was really surprised. And I don't know why I was surprised, because I feel like when you pay for certain channels, you shouldn't be censoring those words. I mean, I get the big one like the F word, but
yeah, it's part of what you pay for that premium channel.
Yeah.
Great example of one that they should be able to just pick up where they left off on.
Yeah.
With a cast that you like all the characters.
I love all the characters. I just like all the characters, and I think that's what made me. I watched the first season in one day.
Well, you watched more than one season. It was like all the first season and like 4 of the second season's episodes.
I think it was like the 5th.
And then we rewatched like 5 of the first season before we
restarted it.
End of the day, like that same day we came home and watched 4 more, and then said okay. And we now almost the second season.
Yeah, I just like that show. That, to me,
that's how you should leave your viewers though. Like, this is a good show. We always like watching it. You can rewatch it that many times in a row, without being like, oh, we've watched this one too many times.
Yeah, because you get me when you are able to have all the characters likable. Because there's always that one TV show that just have a character where you're just like, God, you roll your eyes every time they come onto the screen. And I could think of 2 specific characters that just got on my last nerves. And the first one would be Dawn from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She just really got on my nerves. She got better toward when the show ended.
The last season, right?
Yeah, but when she came on, Glory to me is what really.
I like Glory. That's how you got me into that show, was the season with Glory.
Yeah,
because she was funny and her banter with everybody was hilarious. Because that's all I heard walking up to it was, you didn't care for Dawn. Like, yeah. I knew going into the show, okay, I don't think I'm going to care for Dawn.
She was just so annoying for me. And the other one is Frank from Shameless. Yes. I actually stopped watching that show because I hate that character.
And even when you would go, okay, we'll give this one more episode, we'd get partway through, they would show Frank, and we're like, nope, just shut it off.
Yep.
He ruined the show. I get in that particular show, there are probably people really like that.
And I think that's what bothers me about that character. But again, to me, it's evident that you're a good actor, because you're so believable in that role that you turn me off. And again, I think that's what really makes I can't watch that show, is because I think the possibility that there are people out there in a world like that. That episode when he with the whole the
social
services or something, that was it. I'm like, I'm done. I can't watch this show anymore. I understand it's entertainment, but I just, that character just, it's too much for me. It's just so disgusting. And the fact that, like you said, if there's people out there in the world like this, it's appalling.
Right. And it's crazy because people still go around those type of people.
Yeah.
But there is a show that's on there that I think should be brought back. It's a very hilarious version of it that I don't necessarily, it's like I like all the characters like in Witches of East End, but there's one that I could watch every single time, and that's Veep from HBO, and that was on for what, about 7 seasons?
7 seasons, yeah. Yeah, I like that show too. I think again it comes down to the potty mouth.
Yeah,
she has such a filthy mouth on there, and I love it.
But I feel like it goes into some of the other TV shows we watched her in, which is like the Old Adventures of New Christine. You can laugh because then you can imagine her as that character in that with the foul mouth, which on that network they didn't do that.
Yeah. Or Seinfeld.
That's true. That was a hilarious show.
That was a funny show. A good friend of ours got us into, well, she recommended it, and then a relative also used to talk about the show. So many people used to talk about the show, but I never watched it. And I think I seen an episode one time. I think it was the episode where George had the toupee. And Elaine was snatching it off.
It out the window. That one in the First Class episode was funny.
Yeah, there's actually there's a lot of episodes that were funny on Seinfeld. The Sponge episode.
What did you do? Go around and buy 60 boxes of it?
Yeah, that's a show that I could just probably sit down and rewatch. Another show that for me I can rewatch is Martin. Martin is just so funny. Martin ran on Fox for 5 seasons, and it starred Martin Lawrence, Tisha Campbell, Tashina Arnold, and some other characters, Cole, and the actor who played Tommy, who I believe passed away, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I thought somebody from the cast did.
But Martin is just funny. I've watched almost everything Martin has been in because I just think he's so funny, and all the characters that he would play, like Shanae, Jerome.
Shanae has lines that you'll never forget. Gina, Martin ain't thinking about you.
Yeah, I just love that show. I think it would be great for that if that show came back.
Yes.
I mean, I know there was like some issues going on with the
cast,
but I don't know too much about that. I'm sure maybe they would. I feel like somehow they've all like made amends and they
could do a fast forward, and this is them like 20 years later.
Yeah.
Living in the same area, doing the same stuff.
Has it been 20 years?
It has to be close. That was like 95, right? I feel like that was definitely a 90s or, yeah, 90s
it was a 90s show, but I feel like...
But even that's 20 years. You think about it, we're 2021. It's over 21 years ago. Which, I mean, even this next one, Moesha, that's what, 15 years ago?
God.
If not longer. And that was a really good show for...
Yeah, Moesha ran on UPN for 6 seasons, and I
think they had a good storyline up until, to be honest, maybe that last season. But
well, I feel like they were trying to go for a more adult perspective.
Transferring it from a kid, like a teen show.
She was going from high school to college. You will want to try to be realistic about that. You're not still having these like little teeny bopper adventures.
That's true. No, that makes sense. I was thinking about at the very end when they kidnapped the brother, like they went from the extreme of being...
And someone was pregnant and Moesha fainted.
That could make sense, right?
Yeah.
That would, but then they went really extreme about kidnapping and stuff. It's like, okay.
I think that show could come back, but we also have to acknowledge that Lamont Bentley, who played Hakeem, he passed away.
That's true.
They would have to address that,
she
had transitioned on to the Parkers.
That's right, and I think
the spinoff of Moesha.
Even that, if they were to do a newer version of Moesha, they could cross over, but I think it would still be more of Kim and Moesha interaction versus Andell being prevalent in it.
Yeah, well, Andell was more heavy when it came to Nikki. on the Parkers.
Right.
Because you notice that they kind of, again, they transitioned Andale out of Moesha because they really didn't hang out at the den anymore because they were out of high school.
That's true.
But yeah, I think that would be a good one that could be revived and tie up loose ends that left the fans wondering, okay, what happened to Miles, who's pregnant? So, but another good show that recently just ended that we think shouldn't have ended, but I'm sure again maybe they probably felt the time was right, is Schitt's Creek.
That one, yeah, that was mainly because of the people creating it, right?
I'm not sure. I just know that it was ending. I just hate when they get
canceled.
They get canceled or they,
because that was a good show. That had a lot of humor to it. Who is that? Moira was the funniest one of them all.
That ran for 6 seasons on the Pop channel or Pop Original Pop Network or whatever it's called. But that, yeah, Moria or Mora, how do you say her name?
I think
she to me was the funniest. Her wigs, just the way she just didn't care, but she kind of cared.
Which I think this will probably come down to one of your favorite shows that you got me into, and I actually really like it, is Charmed from the WB. It was on for 8 seasons with P3.
Yeah, I love Charm. Charm, you know, I love that whole supernatural, mystical, witchcraft, galaxy, multi-universe stuff because I believe it might exist. I
but
can't
like
just
you've always said too,
and...
you can really, with like comedies and stuff like that, you can run your course. You can start recycling the same type of jokes and plots or whatever you call it for the sitcoms, but with supernatural shows like Charmed, or you can really keep going with it.
Yeah, the fantasy and the whole magical, you could make up stuff. You could just keep going. You don't have to stop. Because you never know if it's real or not. Exactly. You don't know if it's real or not, and you will have endless material. You're battling a witch right now. Next season, you're battling a warlock, or you're battling all these other things. Look at Witches of East End. They were battling a mandragora or something.
That's right.
It's just that you can go on and on.
But even like you've said with this particular show, they could not necessarily do the actual 3 Charmed ones, but they could base it off of the 2 kids.
Yeah.
Or she had 3, right?
Yeah, no. Piper, they all had 3 by the time it ended. But I think they should, if they were to bring back Charmed, not the new Charm. Well, there's a reboot. I don't know if it's a reboot. I've watched it and I like it. I think it's decent. But the original Charm with Alyssa Milano, Holly Marie Combs, Rose McGowan, and Shannon Doherty, who was on for season 1 through 3, they can bring that back. They can bring that back in a way where it focuses solely on Piper's kids, since they were pretty much featured in the show. Phoebe and Paige's kids could be like supporting characters or reoccurring characters if we're looking for the financial aspects of it.
I was thinking they could do it off what is that, Wyatt and
Chris.
But I was thinking they were much older, but that was actually them from the future coming back.
Yeah, that was them from the future coming back. So, but we could still have it where we're in the future. When did Charm end? In 2006?
I think 05? So. It was close to that time period because I feel like I got to see that last episode. And
how many years have that been?
15. If it was 05 or
so
16
why would
now.
Be?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So and then you could just have it where you focus on Chris and Wyatt and Melinda. Well, the kids will be grown, and then if you want to just go back to the storyline to make it past 15 years, you can have them travel back. Does that make sense?
Kind of, I think.
Like you could focus on Chris and Wyatt as adults in their current timeline, even though realistically they will only be 15 or 13, wherever at the years how.
But still kind of like the projected future ones.
Yes.
And what?
And they could just go back and then help their teenage selves, and then have Piper, Phoebe, Paige as supporting characters that can continue to guide them and come to their aid when they need help. Not just solely focus on Wyatt and Chris and Melinda, but have them also incorporate Piper, Paige, and Phoebe.
It's kind of like the guiding lights for them.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not quite sure if I remember what happened with, like, was it the elders or what Leo was? By the
Leo
time
was
the
human
season, when it ended.
Yeah.
But he wasn't before that.
He was an avatar. So there was a group of them elder. He was the white
that existed. They went away because then it was, at the end of it, was pretty much the Charmed Ones against Billy and her sister, right?
No, the elders were still around. It wasn't that many of them because they had got killed by the gods.
What if the Charmed Ones became more of like the elders, but not really? Does that make sense?
You mean like a white lighter? No,
like the one, like you said, like guiding the two kids now.
But as their parents, they will need to be white lighters because I think in order to become a white lighter, you have to die.
But isn't Paige a white lighter?
Because she's half white lighter. She was born.
Oh, that's right.
Right. Yeah. You can't just be a white lighter. You would have to die. If I could be wrong. But I don't think that's how it works. I love Charm. I've watched all 8 seasons, and it sucks that it's not on Netflix anymore.
I know. It kind of sucks that they've taken quite a few shows off that you could binge watch. That's another thing, not to shout out for Netflix, but why I like shows transitioning is I get you might want to watch your same show every Wednesday, but what if you're busy every Wednesday and you can just binge watch it when you want?
And that's what I used to do when I had free time. I would just throw Charmed on in the background that was on Netflix. And one day I was going to do that. And I was looking through and I'm like, where's Charmed? And then I started Googling and that's when it said that it got removed. And I think it might be on some other streaming device or streaming network that they have too many now. But I just think that in continuing along with that theme, I think that even though it just ended not too long ago, Supernatural ran on the WB/the CW for 15 years. And again, I just don't think that type of genre gets old for me personally, because I think you can continue on. You can make up things. You can fight ghosts. You can fight vampires, different versions of variations of vampires. It just never gets old for me. I love that type of stuff.
Which I feel like that show is a prime example of making that possible, because each season or each year, they've either added more stuff to it or changed it up. Like I'm thinking of the Leviathans. It's funny to me because they kind of put that plot in there.
Yeah.
Like they were like, okay, we're going into whatever season that was, and we need a line, so now we have this new creature.
Yeah.
They can still continue to do that. It's shameful that it went off. It was a very good run. 15 years?
15 years.
I think everybody was still watching it up to that point. All the people that have always watched it, and I think that's on Netflix now.
So that's on Netflix, but that wasn't canceled. That
ended on its own.
I think they just ended on their own terms. We would have to get our resident supernatural expert in.
And again, these are our perspectives and why we're giving our own thoughts on it.
Yeah.
For those that
just
are listening.
Our thoughts, right?
No factual basis on this. This is us just discussing that thought.
Yeah, I love Supernatural. I thought the way it ended was really good. The only thing that I would have liked is if they incorporated other characters that were no longer or featured throughout the series once they left. And I'm referring kind of to Joe and Ellen, even Rufus, Bobby's friend.
Oh,
he was Jewish.
Did they show Bobby on the last one? They did, didn't they?
I think they did.
Was he talking to Jensen before, or
Dean
before he went driving?
I think so. And you know what? I think would have been really cool if, as he was driving through, he would have encountered his mom, his dad, Ellen, Joe. Who else was a big part of the show? Who knows? Maybe these people are in heaven.
That's true.
I mean, we know his mom was in heaven. It was confirmed.
But they weren't clear on really anybody else. They
His dad is in heaven too, because his soul was released in the second season finale.
That's right.
But I just think that show can go on. But both of them have, Dean and Sam, or the actors who played them, they each have their own projects. We know that Dean, or Jensen, is going to be on The Boys, another show I love. And Jared, Sam,
is going to be on Walker.
Sam, the actor Jared Padalecki, who plays Sam, is going to be on a new show called Walker, and that's going to be airing on the WB.
Is that a reboot of Texas Walker with Chuck Norris?
I would think. I'm not sure, but yeah, Supernatural. That's a classic. That's one that you could just rewatch all the time, along with Charmed.
Yeah. Well, and I think that goes into the last one for us, which is The Magicians.
Yeah.
Same premise, same supernatural type of things going on, and that ended last year?
No, I think that ended 2 years ago. I think it just became available on Netflix. Oh, no, maybe you're right. No.
I think that ended last year, like this, not this time of year, but maybe in April-ish.
Maybe
but that was like the last season.
Yeah.
Well,
that ran for 5 seasons on Sci-Fi. It starred Olivia Dudley, Summer Bashir, Hale Appleman, and Stella Maeve. But that's a show that I love. I love that show.
Well, I think that mixed a lot of what we like to see, which is some of the foul language and just normalcy of supernaturalness into a show.
Yeah.
Because that was unfiltered, even though it was on Sci-Fi. It felt unfiltered because they used a lot more words, very like unfiltered. The P word.
Oh, yeah.
They used a lot more that we actually we're like, wait.
I'm telling you, I was surprised, and I'm just thinking like, wait, what are we watching? Which I used to always say this to you. Why are they censoring premium channels? Or I don't know, what would you describe premium channels? That's like HBO, Showtime, and stuff, right?
I think, but I feel like at one point it was you didn't have to pay for the basic 26 channels or whatever it was. And then if you paid so much, you got 100 channels. And I felt like over those 26 originals, like ABC and stuff, you should get a little bit more for your dollars. That's why you're paying for it.
Right. I agree. Because I used to think when you watch certain shows, you can just look at it and be like, oh, that's not what they're saying. And especially if you've already seen the movie before it's gotten put onto like USA or one of those other channels. But that's why I was surprised when I heard them just saying SHIT or other words. Again, they never say the big ones like the F word. But it was surprising to me that, I don't know why I'm surprised. Should I be surprised? It is 2020.
Maybe because we grew up in a time where swearing wasn't really on TV whatsoever unless you had, like, I think it was HBO at the time.
That's true.
So now as it rolled out, I think first gradually over certain channels, now it's on like everything to a certain degree because like Lifetime, they use the S word, but Sci-Fi uses almost all of them.
I mean, it's just more realistic. You will want to engage the audience with being real. Why are we pretending like, oh, we live in La La Land where we don't use bad words? Well, I mean, I don't.
No,
but I don't. I get a kick out of other people though.
I was just thinking, you may not use bad words, but you know people that do.
Oh, definitely.
I do, but I know people that don't.
Yeah.
And that's just reality. Even if you don't, say you don't ever, and you don't really surround yourself by people that do, go to work. Somebody there does.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, it's natural to hear that stuff in every day, I think, but I could be wrong.
I don't think I know anybody that don't swear besides myself.
Yeah, we know a few that don't as frequently as, say, myself, but they swear, yeah.
Yeah. I just get a kick out of it. I think it's hilarious. But it's just not me. It's just not me. Yeah.
And with that said, subscribe to the Interracial Perspective Maturity Not Included podcast and YouTube channel. And be sure to give us a thumbs up and click that notification bell so you know when a new episode becomes available. You can also reach us at maturitynotincluded@icloud.com.